session. We will be starting it now. So Yasser has also joined us.
Hi, Nikita.
Hi Yasser.
How are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good Yasser. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah,
for accepting our request and delivering this session. Are you able to
yeah, sure.
hear me, Yasser, properly?
Uh, there is bit of lag. I couldn't hear perfectly.
Is it?
I think now it's better. Yeah,
It's better?
yeah, better.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, Yasser. So we'll get started with the session, Yasser, in 2 to 3
sure.
minutes. So let me just introduce you to the audience. Okay, today in the audience we have students who have recently finished the program, also the ones who are going to finish the program in some time.
Okay.
And all of you here, we have Yasser Arafat, our one of the alumni. Yasser has 5 years of experience where he has worked with various companies into data science role, companies like Deutsche Bank, Mar Labs, and currently Yasser is with Conviva. So today, as you all know, Yasser will be sharing his story of a successful transition to data science role. Yasser comes with a technical role. Then he joined in Sophie. He groomed himself to get job into data science, and now he has worked into data science role for about 3.5 years or so. So, Yasser, over to you. We would like you to let us know your journey, and then whatever you have prepared for the audience today, we would like to hear that.
Yeah,
Over
sure.
to you.
Yeah, like most of you being freshers in data science, or some of you might even be trying to land into a data science role from a non-technical role, or sometimes maybe in a technical role, but that is something different, maybe from testing or .NET, or from a different background to data science. So you might be having a lot of confusions on how to like go ahead or how to land into my first job in data science. So I thought that I'll address that issue uh, in the talk today. So basically, to give a brief about myself, I'm a graduate, IT graduate from 2012. So after since 2012, I haven't been working in IT. So I was like taking care of my business at hometown, and I was also like, uh, I also started a small company in the space of like training and development, which actually didn't go well. After which, like I decided to get back into IT. So when I had to get back into IT, I saw that data science was the field that had a lot of demand and also was growing a lot. So I thought I'll do something in data science. So that is when I came to know about Insofi. So at Insofi, so just like you guys, I also took the 6 months training program at Insofi. Uh, if I remember correctly, I was batch number 16. So by the time I finished my Insofi program, it was July 2016. So I faced many challenges before I landed into my first job, because during that time itself I was doing some freelancing work, and every job that actually I got through Insofe or through my referrals outside, they were ready to pay a salary which was much lesser than what I was already getting. The reason was because even though I might have 4.5 years experience prior to Insofi, uh, I was still a fresher to data science. So this was the first biggest hurdle that I had to cross. The second bigger hurdle that I had to cross was, apart from startups and smaller companies, no bigger company would accept my resume. One of the reason was because I already had like 4.5 years of experience, and I would have to like work under someone who is even junior to me. So this was a challenge, even though I was ready to like work that way, but the companies wouldn't see that way. So these were all the challenges that I actually faced. And the third challenge that I faced was, whenever I submit a resume to any role, my resume will definitely get rejected. Like most of the roles, apart from the Insofi companies, for the first 3 months of my job search, I never got calls from any other company apart from the Insofi referred companies. So that is when like I took some time to like analyze the shortcomings of my resume, analyze the shortcomings of where I'm lagging, So I addressed a few things there, after which like I started applying to the company, and I was a bit successful there, like uh, in getting attention. So the first thing that I would say is definitely you'll have to stand out in the crowd. So if you see the resumes of your friends at data science, at the data science program in Insofi itself, among the 40% in your batch, at least 10 to 15 of you will have the same projects in your resume. So this way, there is no way that you can stand out in the crowd. So for you to stand out in the crowd, the first thing, or the first part of the journey is to do something that can actually stand out. Uh, so that way, these are the things that I actually followed. The first one was I had a very good GitHub page. So basically, whatever I learned in my program and whatever I learned outside the program, so I made a very good GitHub page that showcases all my skills and all the libraries and technologies and frameworks that I already knew. Then I showcase my visualization skills, showcase my coding skills. Apart from this, to strengthen my resume, I participated in a lot of hackathons. So basically, the hackathons are the ones that actually boosted my resume, because most of these skills I gained by participating in hackathons. And I connected with the data science community, built network, and uh, and I built a proper resume, because after getting rejected through some of the companies, I understood that the resume was the one that was lagging, because I never got a chance to get interviewed myself. So that way, I felt that resume was the first part that was lagging. So when I checked online, it was like most of the job engines, so most of the job postings had like thousands of applications, among which the job engine itself will give you the top 100 or top 50 matches. So basically, the HR only goes through the top 50 or top 20 matches for the job and doesn't go beyond that. And when I was a fresher, my resume will definitely not be among the top 20, because there will be very little similarity between the resume and the job responsibilities or the job description. So that is where I wanted to address a few more things. So in the resumes, I added few things like jargons and the latest trends in data science. So back then, when I was graduating, like XGBoost was something that was gaining more popularity. So that way, I felt that that was a part which could gain attention to my resume. Then text analytics was also another part which was becoming very popular at that time. That way, I even included text analytics in my resume. So combining all these things, I was able to land on my first job in data science. I'll just give a brief. I'll just show you like how my first. Just give me a sec. Right. So when I told you have to like improve your GitHub profile, like this is what I meant. So in my resume, I used to have a graph stating about the experience and the kind of work that I had done. So basically, instead of just getting the graph from Excel, I used to like create the graph using R. So basically, this is a different version, but back then I had a different version using GG Animate. So that actually was a GIF image kind, and it will like keep fluctuating, like year by year, how my experience and how my field actually changed. So that was a single GIF image that actually tells about my whole experience of 5 years. Now that package is discontinued, that's why like I removed that project from the Git. However, just to give a sample, just to give an idea, like this was one of the projects that I included in resume, and most of my colleagues and I mean colleagues at my first job and also my friends at Insofe also like this. They also use the same kind of graphs in their resume. So this was something that grabbed attention to my resume. The second thing that actually grabbed attention was this. Uh, like after attending a few hackathons, I started to understand that more than modeling, more than the modeling part, uh, the data understanding and the EDA part was the most important. So I actually made one single page only to showcase my EDA skills. So uh, this was from a hackathon that happened after my Insofi course. So basically, this is how all the EDAs that I actually did. I showcase. I also included some GIFs here so that it just looks pretty. So all these things increase my increased hits to my resume and increased hits to my profile on LinkedIn and stuff, because of which I landed with my first freelance job in data science. So my first job in data science was when I was doing my course at Insofy itself. So using all these, I got my first job in data science, which was a freelance job. So that was a not a very long, but a very short project. Even that project, including that project in my resume, also boosted my resume. And apart from that, back then I found that Kaggle and Analytics Vidya were very good. Right now, if you check out Kaggle, Analytics Vidya, like I haven't been active for a while, but still among the user rankings, I rank at 32. So by the time I came out of Insofy, I made sure that I had a quite decent rank in at least few of the hackathons there. So in some of the hackathons, I was able to complete in like top 50 or top 25 among the decent ranks, which I added in the resume. That also like boosted my resume a lot. So this is what I would say to like anyone, any fresher or any experienced person who is trying to get into data science. The first thing, if you want to showcase your skill to the interviewer or the company that you are interviewing with, your resume has to be shortlisted. You should get an opportunity. So the most important thing I would say is resume that speaks of your skills is very much important, and how your resume can stand out from the crowd. So that is also equally more important when it comes to getting your first job in data science. uh, like this is all about how I landed my first job in data science. If anyone of you like has any questions or any doubts, you can actually shoot that here.
Yes, so I would request the audience, whatever questions you have, please keep writing in the chat box. Yasser, you can have a look at chat box. I think you already have two questions.
Okay, let me just
So
check.
in between, you can pause and answer their questions. Yeah.
Hi Senthil. Where to go and attend public hackathons? Yeah, like if you want to attend public hackathons, there are a lot of sites that conduct hackathons online. However, when it comes to the data science part alone, I would recommend Kaggle. Kaggle is the best, and that is a place where you can like gain a lot of knowledge from others' notebooks and others' codes. The second best that I can actually see working here is Analytics Vidya. So Kaggle, Analytics Vidya, and right now Machine Hack is also like becoming popular. Like I have seen some of my colleagues also attending Machine Hack. So I just type it here so that you guys also get to know it. Yeah. So Kaggle, Analytics Vidya, and Machine Hack, I find that are very useful when it comes to like attending hackathons. Apart from this, if you want to like improve your coding skills, I would recommend you to like follow HackerRank or HackerEarth.
Yasser, we are able to
Yeah.
see your slide at the moment. If you are typing on Google search and showing us something, then we are not able
Uh,
to.
no, I was just typing on chat so that everyone would get to
Oh,
copy
okay,
it.
okay, 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 okay. Yeah, right.
Uh, so I think that was the one question. These graphs are developed in R or Tableau. Yeah, the graphs that I showed, the first one was developed with R, the second one was developed with Python. Like you could be good with Tableau or Click or any other visualization tool also. Differently, like you can create a public profile and you can make the your graphs available for public if you have some very innovative idea, or even if you can do something that is very regular but on a completely different use case. Like if you can use that graph, so that will be definitely impressive. That's what I would say. Yeah, I showcased my previous experiences in the resume. However, I did not highlight it much. Bigger part that I used to highlight was the bigger part I used to highlight was my achievement in hackathon and my GitHub. I even remember one of my friend, what he did was like he included a QR scanner in his resume. So whenever, even if he gives a printed format of the resume, he gives a QR scanner at the top. So from there, what he would do is that he would actually point that QR scanner to one such page, so one such GitHub page, which actually shows about his profile and his work kind of stuff. So this way you can be like even more innovative, like include a lot of things in your resume, because the resume is the first thing that your any interviewer would actually see. So that is the first place where you can impress the interviewer. Share the link for connecting to communities where I can interact with outside world. Yeah, when it comes to, I think I have already like pinged here. So Kaggle, Analytics Vidya, or places where you can connect with other data scientists. Like Kaggle, I feel I'll just show you like if you see Kaggle notebooks, so you can learn a lot from Kaggle notebooks. Like for house prediction, if you want a linear regression model, or about PyTorch, let's say you want to learn PyTorch, or you want to learn like ResNet or anything else. So basically you have codes for everything available online. So you have to make use of the resources. So Kaggle is definitely a place that I would recommend, because even in my current job, I used to work on few projects inside my company. So sometimes I would always be curious to know like what is happening in the data science world outside. So for which I would read some articles and also some blogs on like what are the latest advancements in data science. And also I used to follow the CPMR and Zipper conferences, the data science conferences that used to happen. But apart from that, so there what I do is I only read the blogs and only get to know theoretically, but how they are applied in the real world. So I actually learn most of the things through Kaggle. So here you can see that, for example, I have highlighted this project called NLP EDA Bag of Words, Glow and BERT. So BERT is something that I have never used in my job, but I know that most of the companies are using it, and uh, most of the companies would want to use it because this is giving such a high accuracy with a very little training time. So I got to know this only through hackathons and only through Kaggle. So this way I would definitely recommend connecting with the communities is something that is equally important. So apart from gaining skills on your own, so these are also equally important is what I would say. What are your expectations of fresher? What is okay? Like ideally, in my company, whenever we are recruiting for a fresher, I would definitely look at the basics. When it comes to his data science knowledge, I would definitely look at the basics, how good he is with stats and all these things. Apart from this, I would also want to look at his coding skills, because if you see most of the data science jobs or projects that I work with, it is data science plus software engineering, because ultimately you wouldn't only have to do some analytics, you also have to like deploy the models. So when that is what you need to do, software engineering skills is also something that I would definitely check for. And at my present company, something that I have really observed and appreciated is that here in my present company, they believe that anybody can do any job provided they are given an opportunity. So that way, what they mostly check out is how good you are at coding and real world problem solving alone. Whenever there is an interview, apart from relevant experience, the highest weightage is given to problem solving and coding. So did you showcase your previous experience in your resume before? Yeah, I did showcase my previous experiences, but I did not highlight that. So from my previous experiences, what are the things that could be relevant? So from my previous experiences, like I used to have some customer facing roles. So when I used to freelance or when I used to like do some business, I used to face the customer myself, how I handle them. So these are the things that I would highlight. Please share link for connecting with them. Yeah, I think I have already shared the links. Does Analytics Vidya notebooks accessible? I'm not sure Analytics Vidya notebooks are accessible. However, when the competition is over, some people would share their work through Git. Like you can basically find any code in Git or Stack Overflow. And if you want to learn something new, always go to Kaggle first. Can you please explain about the technical interview and how the technical interview will be? Okay, when it comes to technical interview, it completely depends on the role. Some roles require you to know more SQL. Some roles require you to know more Python. So which I'll be like explaining in my next slide. I think that is kind of a very detailed question. I'll be explaining that in the next slide so that you can have a look at that. So as a fresher, I face the interviews asking some live, yeah, definitely you'll be getting live business use cases. That is why I recommend hackathons, because as a data science consultant, you'll have to work on like multiple projects. Suddenly, you let's say you are working with a problem on CNG domain. Suddenly, you might get a problem in banking domain, or you might get a client who wants you to work on banking domain. Suddenly, you might get a client who might who could actually be working on some healthcare or some other different domains. So this way, you should you should be very much flexible, and also you should be able to apply the cross domain expertise across different projects. So for this, definitely there should be someone like case interview is something that definitely will happen whenever you attend an interview for data science. How should a fresh okay. Wanted to know more about how did you circumvent experience with how a fresher should proceed forward. I think these answers, I'll be giving the answers for this in my next slide. So for now, I'll just move to the next slide. Yeah, if you can see the slide that I just shared. So basically, when you're looking for a data science job, there are different kinds of roles that are available. So if you see a proper data scientist role itself, it could be an applied data scientist. So applied data scientist is someone who doesn't do much research, but he just works on the data. He uses the existing model to come with uh, like data-driven solutions. The second part is citizen data scientist or customer data scientist. So most of the companies now, instead of like investing more on data scientists or data science researchers, what they do is they invest on auto ML kind of initiatives like H2O or Data Robot. So with these companies, what happens is that they provide you the pipeline for any data science project, and they provide you the support for data science projects and data science integration and all. So there only citizen data scientists should be there. So someone who actually understands the business, understands what the customer needs, and knows what kind of solutions to use where. Basically, you have all the solutions already available in AutoML. You just have to plug and play. And the third kind of data science role could be a data science researcher or like research analyst. So here you'll have to work on problems that your company is facing or problems that is there in the market right now, and you'll have to come up with innovative solutions by yourself. So most of these problems would not be solved already. So when you look at this reinforcement learning kind of jobs that actually want you to use reinforcement learning or sometimes your own solutions. For example, in my previous job at DBS, at Development Bank of Singapore, we were actually doing a project in so that was actually a very short project. We were doing a project on money laundering. So in money laundering, like none of the models would actually work. None of the uh, parametric or non-parametric models would actually work. So ultimately, what worked there was graphs. So basically, we had to use graphs to come up with some metrics which can understand fraud or money laundering the data like in the banking world. And you could have a consultant or pre-sales data scientist kind of role. So this kind of data scientist will have to like toggle between multiple this kind of data scientist has to toggle with multiple projects. So basically he should have good understanding of the customer, good understanding of the business, and also good understanding of how data science how to apply data science to real world problems. And next comes data science developer. So for data science developer, mostly they look for data science plus Django or data science plus Spark and big data kind of roles. So whenever you see online, these are the most popular data science roles that are available. Like whichever JD you take, it will definitely fall among any of these data scientist roles. Apart from the regular data scientist roles, there could also be like opening for computer vision engineer, mainly people who want to work on like image and video processing. Will come under like computer vision engineer. Also, like if you want to work on videos and signals in sound, voice recognition and all. So in this case, mostly like that will be, I wouldn't say that is more data science, that will be more of signal processing, but right now that is also like being considered as data science problems. So even computer vision engineers solve those problems as well. Next comes NLP engineer. So NLP engineers mostly work on chatbots and other text analytics projects. Then ML engineer. So this ML engineer is the software engineer, and the data scientist will analyze the data and come with the right models. Deployment of the develop ML engineer. So ML engineer is, I would say that is 70% software engineer and 30% data science. And next comes software engineering, data science, and ML. So basically, this is the kind of role that most of the top companies, like even I had interviewed for a role for software engineering, data science, and ML with Google. So there, these top companies don't consider you as a data scientist unless you have a PhD or at least a master's and good publications in data science. So there, they would initially give you a role like software engineering, data science, and ML. Later, like upon seeing your worth or upon seeing how you perform, they could actually give you or promote you to a data science kind of role. Then comes data engineer. So the data engineer is someone who sets up the pipelines for data scientists, and mostly people who already have experience with ETL, or even if you have experience with ETL and all, like data engineer definitely target. And next comes data analyst. So data analyst is someone who mostly works on sometimes ETL tools and also mostly works on SQL. The question is that I'm not very good at coding. I do not have relevant experience in data science or IT industry. So how what role that would fit me in the data science role? So here I would definitely tell, if you are if some if you are impressed by some cool visualizations, definitely take a role of BI developer or Tableau Click developer. Apart from Tableau Click, like now tools like Yellowfin are also like getting popular. So that way BI developer kind of role is also very popular. Only difference is that the data scientist, when it comes to an industry or a company, a data scientist gets treated better as compared to a data analyst or BI developer. However, the data scientist has to keep updating, like he never has to like stop learning. But when it comes to a data analyst or BI developer, people who are a bit slow, or people who could not pick up coding very fast, or who could not pick up with the ever changing market, so these are the kinds of role that you can definitely target. So data analyst or BI developer kind of roles. So these roles, pretty much the skill set will be almost constant. Like if you take SQL is going to stay for the next couple of years at least. So this way, this is a role which is which requires you to have SQL skills, which is pretty much constant. So if you want to, if you are not very much technical, want to settle in a data science job, or just enter into a data science job, after which you can climb up the ladder. So this is the right kind of role that you can target. Next comes business analyst or product analyst. So the last three roles I mentioned, which is business analyst or a data architect or AI ops engineer, SRE, site reliability engineer, or cloud engineer. These are kind of roles for which should be more suitable for an experienced person. So there could be a lot of people who already have experience with different fields. So if you have different with customer facing roles, so you could definitely apply for roles like business analyst or product analyst. So these are the roles which require you to like directly interact with the clients and satisfy your clients, deliver the project, do some PPTs, to visualize, show, like you should have a very good presentation skills for these kind of roles, for business analyst or product analyst kind of roles. So people with experience in non-IT can definitely target this kind of role. Next comes data architect or AI ops engineer. So there will be people who are already have experience with some other technology in IT. So if you are from, let's say, .NET, or if you're from some other technology, so these are the kinds of role that you can target, which is data architect or cloud engineer. So here what you need to know is, so you have to look at a data science project from a bigger point of view. So basically, instead of just looking at it as some analysis and just showcasing the result, you have to look at it from a larger point of view, like how you are going to implement it, how you are going to deliver it. So what are the tools that you might be using? So basically, you'll be planning the project. So as a data architect, you'll be planning the project, and you'll be planning the tools that you'll be using in the project. And a cloud engineer is someone like earlier we used to have roles like Hadoop admin and all, but as of now, if you see, like we have cloud engineer or SRE and AI ops engineers who basically maintain the big data systems. So maintain your cloud or maintain your big data systems. So these are also the kind of roles that experienced people can actually target. So if you have any questions, you can post. I just look at. Okay, voice is breaking. There was. I'm sorry, I never got to see this.
Yeah, sir, we have few questions in chat box.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it.
Maybe they can write here if, yeah, whatever guys you have missed, you can write in chat box and Yasser can repeat that.
So in data science resume or GitHub, what kind of graphs we need to highlight? You can do anything. Like you can work on something entirely new, some very different graphs, or you can use some usually use graphs but for a different use case. So that would actually be like you can do something different. So that will only like grab attention. How important is Python visualization in going for a data science career? Like visualization is definitely an important skill, very important skill, because visualization comes into picture at two places. So when you want to do the EDA, so before you get a go ahead with the how to approach your problem or how to implement your model, so basically you will have to show the EDA results to the business most of the times. Most of the data scientists would have to do that. So when you want to do that, visualization is very important. And at the end of your project, so when you're at the end of the projects, you'll be doing some predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics. So whatever you are prescribing for the client, so basically that also like it will always be better if you show it as a visualization. So that way visualization is very important for a data science project. How important is Python visualization if you ask me? That entirely depends. Like most companies, what they do is for the end result they use tools like Tableau or Click for delivering the project. However, when it comes to like internally delivering the messages or internally uh, convincing the team to go ahead with some project or understand the distribution, like Python visualization is equally important, I would say. How would you advise if I'm poor in coding but having data? Yeah, that is what I told. If you are poor in coding but you have good data analytics skills, so basically if you have good attention to detail, so attention to detail is definitely a very valuable skill in data science world. So you can definitely join as a data analyst or a business analyst or a BI developer there. If you are poor in coding, so that is the option that you have got. Mahesh, oh hey Mahesh, what is the difference between ML engineer and software? Okay, so ML engineer generally works in deploying the model, but a software engineer, data science and ML, what happens is that they mostly work like Google. If you see, most of the systems are already built on Java. So a software engineer in data science ML has to like bridge the gap between the legacy system and also the latest analytics thing. So basically a software engineer's job is more than just deploying the model. It is about integrating with the existing system. So this way, people who already have experience with Java or Scala or the legacy systems, if you want data science solutions to be integrated with them, so that kind of role would mostly be called as software engineer in data science or ML. Could you elaborate on that terminology, data pipeline? Yeah. Uh, so data pipeline is like, I'll just give you a small example. In my previous company, we used to have a client. So the client is one of the Fortune 500 clients. So basically, they were never willing to share the data, but ultimately, if we had to do the analysis, they had to share the data. So we came to an agreement. So before the project begins, we came to an agreement that whatever data they are sharing, it will be stored in one single system, and we also signed legal documents for that, after which we do all the analysis from that single system, but we can store the results of that analysis over to different location. That is fine, but the data should not leave the system. So so sometimes you have constraints like this, and sometimes you have data flowing in from different places. Now if you are looking at clickstream prediction and all, so there will be some data which you have to like get from your databases, some data which you will have to get from a different database or a different bucket, S3 bucket. So basically there will be like multiple S3 buckets or data lakes where your data would be stored. So bringing them all together to one place to do the analysis, you call it a data pipeline. So you have to bring it all to one place. Then you have to do some deserializing the data to understand the data. Then you'll have to like clean the data. Then you have to like build model on it or do some analysis on it if required. So all these together is called as data pipeline. So from a data scientist point of view, data pipeline is something where from we receive the data until we deliver it. So that will be a data pipeline. But from an IT industry, like a whole project point of view, a data pipeline is where the data is getting generated until the data is getting delivered. What are the expertise required to enter into business analytics field? Yeah, like for you to get into business analytics field, like excuse me. So a business analyst has two kinds of meaning in IT industry. One who collects the requirements for a software project, he is also called as a business analyst. But now after data science has become popular, like business analyst is someone who gets the requirement from client for a data science project and also like delivers that to client. And he'll instruct the data scientists or the data team to actually do all the work. But he's one who understands the business well. Also, he is one who understands the technical process well. So when it comes to any project, there will be like two kinds of knowledge that you can get. One is technical knowledge, another one is functional knowledge, like how the domain functions, all these things. So a business analyst is someone who is more of a domain person and less of a technical person. So that is someone who is a business analyst. So this is the expertise required for a business analyst. Let's consider we are applying for BI developer. Do they focus on tool itself or we have ML and DL part for this role? Mostly from what I have seen, if you are applying for a Tableau developer or Click developer role, like they only test your skills on Tableau or Click. They might consider the other skills, but the most important skill is Tableau or Click. Reason is because whenever you have an opening, just consider this way, like companies like CTS, TCS and all, they hire freshers, they give training to them, after which they deploy them in some projects. But most of the startups and other companies now, they have requirement for some project, and that is the reason they are hiring. So basically they expect you to work from day one itself, and they wouldn't have a training budget. So whenever the client wants you, they want you to work on day one itself, and they don't have training budget. So this is the reason that some of the experienced role, they hire for only the certain tools, and those becomes critical skills. Where do we use time series? Is it still relevant? Okay. Yeah, time series is definitely relevant. Majority of the data science project that I have worked with comes under only two of the buckets. It could be either a classification project or it would be a time series project. I mean, a forecasting project. So it doesn't mandatorily have to be time series forecasting. It can be time series forecasting with some dependent parameters also. So for example, at DBS Bank, when I was working, one of the major projects that I actually was able to deliver was ATM demand forecast, ATM, BTM, and CRS machines demand forecast. So that was one of the major projects I was able to deliver. Next. I'm from DevOps engineer background, AWS, Docker, Linux. Currently, I'm improving my Python skill. Which role should I target? Yeah, if you are already experienced with DevOps and Linux and Docker kind of tools, I would definitely say you can target for ML engineer kind of role. ML engineer is a role that you can definitely target. Apart from that, if you are more into software and maintenance kind of stuff, like AI ops or SRE or cloud engineer also would be a good fit for you. But if you definitely want to use data science skills and analytical skills a bit, then ML engineer is the role that you would fit into. How about Power? Yeah, Power BI also like equally good. So as of now, Click Tableau, after Click and Tableau, I think Power BI is the most popular tool in the market. Is AWS and Azure part of deployment? Yes, definitely. Like most of the companies now prefer to have their cloud solutions over AWS or Azure, and because they are not acquainted or equipped enough to actually have an internal data, internal data team to have their internal cluster. So that is a really costly job and also like risky job. That's why like AWS and Azure is something most of the companies go to. So having these skills definitely will help. how many DS will be in one project? Is that only one have to do from that depends on the size of the project. Most of the case, there will not be only one person. Even if it is a very small project, there will be at least 2 data scientists in one project. The reason is because you'll need you'll need a solution from multiple points of view. So that way, that depends on the size of the project. So if it is just a POC, and if you are a very experienced data scientist, sometimes the company or the organization might even ask you to deliver it on your own. The data science project takes how many days to complete? That again depends on the size of the project, the size and the requirements for the project. So most of the times, if you see, it will be like it can be delivered in 4 to 5 months. Like most of the projects, if you see, it can be delivered in 4 to 5 months, but maintenance should be there. Like provided that if the data is already there with you, you can deliver it in 4 to 5 months maximum. But even after deploying the model, you should provide maintenance to the solutions. Any opportunity for finance data handling fund? Uh, yeah, in finance there is a lot of data science roles and scope for data science. However, the kinds of tools they use there is completely different. Like when it comes to like risk analytics and portfolio management, all these, I think they used to use Basel models. And like SAS is the current market leader when it comes to like healthcare analytics and also securities. Healthcare analytics and securities, SAS is the market leader. So most of the legacy systems or most of the solutions are already deployed in SAS, and companies would not be risking to like migrate it to a different language. Like however, now if you see, most of the companies are migrating to a different language. Some of the solutions are getting migrated to a different language like Python, because that has, you can have better control over the project, and also it is a lot cheaper. How should I be confident as a fresher if I get the opportunity? Will there be any training? Should we start from day one? That depends on, again, the kind of role that you are applying, but you should definitely be confident. And how you will gain confidence is that definitely you should practice. So if you ask me what is the key to get your first data science job, I will say practice is the key, because only if you practice, you can be confident. And only if you practice, you can deliver something. Like instead of just writing the skills on your resume, only if you practice, you can answer the right question, answer the questions that an interviewer would ask. Could you suggest any site to watch videos on data science entire process for easy goal? No, I would say
Guys, Yasser is logging in 2 minutes. Please wait. 2 minutes, he'll be back.
there was a technical glitch because of which my call dropped off.
No problem. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, to data science aspirants, this is the advice that I would give. So first, identify your strength and weakness and work on this. Like some of you would be good with coding, some of you would be good with math part, some of you would be good with visualization. Some of you might realize that you are not good with anything also, but it doesn't matter. Like the first step to identifying, the first step to solving a problem is identifying that there is a problem. So that way, first identify your strength and weakness. So identify what is your weakness, work on it. Identify what is your strength, improve it. So this is the first advice that I would give to any aspirant. Then practice is the key. Uh, like one other skill that I look for whenever I interview for a data science role, for an opening in my company, one quality that I look for is what have you done beyond your responsibilities, which means let's say you are a fresher in data science. So apart from what you learned in your data science course, have you done anything beyond that? So that is the first thing that I would say, because if you have done something beyond that, it definitely means you are interested in that. So what have you done beyond the scope of what you could actually do? So that is something that I would definitely see. So to achieve that, practice is the key. Like unless you practice, you wouldn't be able to go so far to learn something that is beyond what is already taught to you. The third thing is showcase, because you could be very good with data science concepts, or you could be good with programming, or you could be good with any skill. Unless you showcase, the interviewer would not get to know, because ultimately the interviewer has hardly like the first 5 to 6 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes of your interview. So during that time, the interviewer might get impressed with you, or he might not like you. So the minimum time that you have got to impress someone is 3 to 5 minutes. So unless you showcase, you wouldn't be able to impress the interviewer. Like I would like to share a very small story. Like this was a story that was shared to me when I was passing out of my college, when I was attending my first interview in my college. So this was a story that was shared to me by my CIR head. So the story goes this way. So there is a guy who wants to buy a pet dog. So there is a guy who wants to get a pet dog. However, instead of buying a puppy and training it, he thought that it would be easier if he already gets a trained dog. So he is looking at the newspaper ads. He finds an ad that says that talking dog for sale. So as soon as he sees that there is a talking dog for sale, he becomes very curious. So talking dog, like what kind of words does it talk? So he becomes very curious. So next day he visits that place. He asks the owner, so you have given an ad that there is a talking dog for sale. So can I see that dog? So he says the dog is in the backyard. You can have a look at it. After which we can negotiate on whether you will be buying the dog or not. So he goes alone to the backyard. He sees that the dog was sleeping or taking rest. Then he wakes the dog up. The dog greets him telling good morning. He was very much impressed at the dog. Like, oh, you can talk. I have never seen a dog which can actually talk like you. Then the dog actually says, yeah, everyone gets shocked or impressed at the skill that I have. And because you might see this skill as a blessing, but for me, this skill has been has been a curse. Uh, like since my childhood, I was very different. So I never used to have friends. I grew up all alone. My parents left me. I hated my life until a point. So after I reached a point, I realized that the skill or the blessing that I have got should be used for the better of the world. So I did some hard work. I joined the police force. So there I tried to I captured many criminals. With my skills, I captured many criminals, and I helped the police a lot. So commending my service in police, I also got recruited to army. So in army, I worked as I risked my life multiple times in defusing bombs and things like this. So after which I became an international spy like James Bond. So there I used to like share secrets of the other world, like other countries, and I used to spy for India. And after which I was growing old until one day I decided to retire. I decided to have my own family, and I had my own family. My wife died, my children left me, after which I settled with this guy here. So hearing this story, that guy was very much impressed. So very much impressed with this story. What he does is, he thinks even if the dog costs 1 lakh, I should definitely buy the dog. So he goes to the owner and asks, like, how much is the dog? The owner says, pay me 2,000 rupees and you can take the dog. This guy is very much surprised. He asks the owner, so the dog has a very different skill. It is a very different dog. Even if you say it costs 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, I was ready to buy, but why so cheap? Now the owner actually says, everything the dog told you is a lie. The dog does nothing but eat and sleep. He doesn't do anything else. So this is what I would say. Like the dog is kind of how you should be. Like, so whenever there is an interviewer, you should always try to impress the interviewer. You have to showcase the skills that you have. So like here, I wouldn't say that you have to bluff, but you have to showcase your skills. Only then the interviewer would get impressed with you. So that way, I would definitely say showcasing your skill is the most important thing, and you should have a good resume. So like I already told in the first part of the meeting here, I already told that for a resume should have the right words. So most of the people now would have like fancy resumes without highlighting a lot of their skills and all. most of the times that gets rejected, one of the reason is because of the job engine. Like even at DBS, when I used to work, for every job that we post on LinkedIn, there used to be at least 1,000 applications. And what the HR does is the HR would only download the top 50 applications. So basically, the job engine itself, based on some keyword matching, we use the top 50 applications alone. We technical people, we go through the top 50 applications alone and we shortlist the candidates for the interview. So this way, for you to apply for any job, how good your resume would match to the job description is something that is very important. So you have to keep that in mind when preparing a resume. So when preparing your resume, you should have certain parts like what is your career summary, what are the skills you work, like outside your office. Like, let's say you are a fresher in data science, so outside your scope of work, what extra have you done, what extra effort have you done, and what other now if you see Kaggle notebooks, that is very much useful, I would say, because the latest trend is the paper that was implemented last year, the paper that was published last year gets implemented, and you have already some solutions available in Kaggle notebooks or on GitHub online. So you can make use of these resources that are available for free. You can learn something new. Definitely, those things will impress any interviewer. Then participate in hackathons and meetups and good networking. Like networking, like I told, any job that is posted online, you'll have at least 1,000 applicants. So among the 1,000 applicants, only like top 50 or 60 would be, only the top 50 or 60 resumes would even be considered for the role. So that way, the best way to get into a data science role is through referral. So if you want to have a good referral, you should have good networking. So whenever there is a job posting online, never hesitate to ping someone that you don't know, someone who is already working with the company, but never shoot out a direct message like, "Hi, I found an opening, refer me for the job." No, definitely don't do that. You message them and you try to talk to them, understand what is the kind of work they are doing, and explain them how you would fit that role. And once they are impressed with you, only then they would refer you for the role. Because ultimately, any employee would not want to refer someone who is unfit for the role also. So that way, first you have to make him believe that you are fit for the role, only then he would refer you. So that way, a good networking will definitely help you in fetching your first data science job. Like even my first data science job, full-time job, I actually got through LinkedIn, and in that company called Marlabs, I was the first person to be recruited through LinkedIn. All right, I think this is all I had planned to cover today. I'll just look at, if you have got any other questions, you can shoot that, because I think there is hardly another 5 minutes left. You mentioned that there were a lot of opportunities. Having 4 years experience was a problem. So how did you circumvent it? Yeah. So for that, what I actually did is I worked on a lot of hackathons and tried to improve my skills. So that way, there were some niche skills or the latest skills that I actually acquired, which most of the traditional data scientists do not have, because most of them would be working on their own projects. They never have time to upskill. So that way, they would have only read about those ideas online. But I was able to like implement that and implement that as a solution and showcase it. So that was definitely a plus for me. Apart from this, I also took some freelance work. So irrespective of how big or small the work is, I took like all kinds of freelance work that I used to get online. Uh, so that actually helped me get my first data science job. So how the data is provided by client, that depends on the client. Some clients actually provide you access to their RDBMS. Some clients actually wouldn't want to provide you access to RDBMS, so they would actually copy their data to a different bucket or S3 location. You would have to like use from there. Or some clients would just use FTP to send you the data. You can only use that FTP to like get the data, transfer the data. That's the only means of communication. So this way, depending on the project, it's completely different. However, most of the data science project, like in product companies, the internal projects, you'll get the data from through the databases or the data lake. How the skills you acquired at Insofay helped you right now? Like skills at Insofay, I would definitely say one thing. You see, in a class, there could be a very bright person, there could be a weak person also. Like if I'm taking class at a higher level, the people who are weak wouldn't understand. So that way, everyone has to first come to the same level. So that is how every training institute or every training company would actually work. So if you have to like gain, uh, if you want to gain skills beyond what they are teaching or beyond what is getting taught, you have to put the effort. And whenever you put such effort and you are asking them any help, definitely they would be happy to help. So that way, the skills I acquired at Insofit definitely helped me a lot. But it is not, do not depend on the skills that is being taught to you alone. As I already told, what you learn beyond what is already getting taught to you, that is the most important thing. What are your go-to methods to get a good score in hackathon? Uh, like the first, EDA is the key. So earlier, what I used to do was I used to do a lot of feature engineering. So EDA and feature engineering helped me a lot. And apart from this, I wanted to use like multiple models. So that way, uh, back when I was starting to participate, XGBoost and Random Forest were the most popular models. But now, if you can see, uh, you can see that like GBM, CAD Boost, and also models like neural networks and deep learning models are performing even better than the other models. So this way, uh, if you ask me what is your go-to solution or go-to method, I wouldn't say there is one single method, because depending on the data and depending on the understanding of business, you'll have to like apply different methods to different hackathons. Apart from model building, what are the other things data scientists focus on as fresher? What has to be done after going through the business problem? First thing is business understanding. And when you understand the business well, you have to define it. Once you define it, you have to get the confirmation that your understanding is right. So I feel that is the most challenging part. So whenever, like, the first step to, as I already told, the first step to solving a problem is addressing it. So that way, if you do not understand the business well, you wouldn't be able to provide a right solution. So I wouldn't say model building is the critical part. I would definitely say understanding the business is the critical part, and understanding why the existing solutions doesn't work is the most important part for a data scientist. So that's all I would say. Like, apart from this, what are the other skills or to focus on? If you ask me, you should be very good at coding. Like, if you are very good at coding, that is something that will definitely help you over the time. Because after a point, after like the first 1.5 2 years in data science, like, I have taken up roles which are data scientist plus software engineering also. So basically it means, like, I would do like any work, even if it is development I would do, even if it is data science work I would do, even if it is just visualization I would do, even if it is just like data transformation I would do. So I used to like develop some frameworks which the other data scientists in my company would use internally also. So this way, until you get your first job, you have to be wary of what you should learn and what you should showcase. But once you get into the company or once you get into the job, there the requirement will be completely different. There you might have to work on like multiple things at the same time. Can you suggest any work for freelance work? Let's say, yeah, freelance work. Yeah, I think we can take this offline. I can give you some suggestions on that. After reaching some good scores in hackathons, say rank 50 or below, what things would say to improve at that point? Uh, yeah, like, the winners of the hackathons might share their solutions. You can like compare with their solutions and see like how different they think. So this is something that you can do. Apart from this, I wouldn't say that only getting good score in hackathon is important. Apart from this, like, gaining new skills is also equally important. How important is word cloud in interpreting the data? Is it popular way of representing? Just give me a second. I think, yeah, yeah, word cloud is a means of visualization. Like, I wouldn't say that, like, when it comes to texts, I would say word cloud is definitely useful and it is an easier way to interpret, but that is not the only way to interpret any message or any text. So there are other ways of doing it also. This is one of the methods, is what I would say. Anything which you follow in particular? So what I would follow in particular is, let's say I'm doing a hackathon on a different field. So I would try to understand like how the domain actually works. And from a different domains hackathon, if I can apply a cross functional or cross domain knowledge, like something that works in a different domain, can I apply that here also? So that is what I try to do. Apart from this, I would also like uh, I would mostly like try to solve it without a model. So mostly, can you do it only from the data visualization? Can you get some understanding and solve it without the model? You wouldn't believe the first few hackathons I was able to win without even using R or Python. I used only Excel for the first few hackathons that I actually participated. However, there I was able to reach a rank of only, I would say, like top 50 or top 60. Only when I started using R or Python rigorously, I was able to get into like top 20 or top 10 kind of ranks. So did you learn? I was an IT graduate. However, like I have never coded in my life. Like since my college time, like after my college days, I never coded because I never worked in an IT industry. So that way, if you ask me, I started coding. I like reinvented myself through coding only after my uh, Insufi course. Coding in the sense coding in the sense it's not just related to Python. It means anything. Like any real world problem, you should solve with code. Any real world problem, can you express that as a mathematical function? So that is what I meant by coding. Like any real world problem or any problem that is posted to you, any mathematical problem, can you write it as a mathematical function? Can you solve it, simplify it, and solve it using a code? So that is what I mean. But apart from that, it's definitely helpful if you concentrate on like one or two coding languages. Like as of now, uh, in the job market, I would say Python is the most important skill for a data scientist, and after Python comes SQL. So these both are the most important. So whenever you're trying to learn coding or trying to learn something, these are the two skills that you should give importance to. How much salary should you expect as a fresher? That depends on you. Like what you are expecting would be something different from what someone else would expect. So that way, I would say that if you're a fresher, you can take up like any role, start learning there, try to like try to go ahead with that role itself, or you can try to like move to a different company in case you find salary is different. But uh, I would say that you might have some expectation. The expectation would differ from person to person. You know your background. Yeah, I did my engineering in IT.
So, Yasser, I think
Yeah,
we can stop here. And
sure.
if anyone would like to connect with you offline, I'm sure you would be fine if they connect with you through LinkedIn.
Yeah. I'm not much active on LinkedIn, but definitely I would be fine if anyone connects with me on LinkedIn. In fact, like I used to get messages like every week, and I always like
Sure.
help out some people who are trying to get into data science. So that way, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have got any doubts, feel free to message me or ping me on LinkedIn.
That's great. Thank you so much, Yasser. It was a very wonderful session, and I am sure that students today they have got all their queries answered, and you
Sure.
have given some real-time tips and suggestion which can definitely help them if they will follow.
Sure.
I will share Yasser's LinkedIn address to you all, and yeah, students are saying thank you to you in chat
Yeah.
box,
Thank you.
Yasser.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. It was a wonderful session. Like even I felt happy connecting with all of you. But I felt that if you are able to come with more questions, I would answer. That'd be good. But unfortunately, it was just messaging.
Right. So I will share. Can I share your email ID and LinkedIn ID with students,
uh,
Yasser? That would be
yeah, sure. Like you can share my LinkedIn ID. I think LinkedIn is
LinkedIn
a better
ID.
place to.
Yeah, right. LinkedIn is a better place actually for connection. So I'll do so and they will connect with you
Sure.
later then. Okay. Thank you so much, Yasser, once
Yeah.
again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
in.
Thank you,
Thank you
Nikita.
so much.
Thanks for hosting.